Hello, friend, and welcome to Borgcast Discoverage 17.8 with Anne-Marie and Peter.
Hello! We have our...
Previously on Star Trek Discovery.
We heard from Llama God on Unification Part 3. It says that maybe it was Gabriel who snitched about Michael's existence and the relationship of the to the Nilvarans.
Could be.
So, I mean, obviously she wasn't in on the deal of silence, so, yeah, maybe.
Could be.
I mean, if they'd suggested that would have worked, but they didn't.
They didn't, no.
My pal boss, he said, I had to say I had a mini fist bump when I saw the nasals reattach before the jump. Sad to say, that was the highlight of the episode.
Yeah.
Probably agree with that, sadly.
And we heard from Parry.
Hello, Args. Parry here to talk about the Discovery episode whose name I can't remember, but the one with the Vulcans. So, yeah, obviously the feedback coming in quite late means I've already listened to the podcast. So I'll try not to retread old ground. I liked this. It's definitely not the best episode the series had, and with such a strong start, you could say it is definitely one of the weaker episodes, but it was nice to see unified Vulcan and Romulus, even if they've renamed the planet. I suppose that was kind of democratic. And I kind of like the different factions we had in the debate. Incidentally, when she said, I invoke the right of that something or other, I was half expecting some big Klingon contest, but I thought that's not the Vulcan way. And actually, what I'm really disappointed, while a debate was probably the what we expected, I'd have really liked a maths off. Like, what's that? Oh, I've now got to put my best equations against some of their finest minds in Vulcan. Ooh, but I like the kind of factioning we saw there, and I think what these things do is they do build a better, we're building more of the world, we're seeing more of this late future, and it had some hope again with the maintaining contact, trying to reconnect with the Federation. Interestingly, Vulcan and Doria and Earth, 3 of the founding members, have all left. Is Tellar still there? Because that could be all the founding members are gone, which is kind of a weird thought. I mean, like I say, the main thing, I was pleased that her mum was part, not just I liked seeing, was it the Order of the Clots or whatever they're called? Not only that did I like seeing them, and it's kind of nice connective tissue to Picard, but I'm glad her mum didn't become another mystery box. I had a fear of that, where is her mum and where is Terra Elysium? I was worried about both those things kind of becoming a mystery box this series, and I think that we're building up too many considering we're already on Georgiou and Arium watch. So I think the only other thing, Tilly. Now, I'm a card-carrying fan of the Tilly fan club. I like her as a character. But yeah, I'm not sure if making her first officer. I did read Andy's post about the reasons why she wasn't. Well, it was the guy who Andy interviews, and I've got to agree with a lot of them. You couldn't even put it into the argument of like Riker in Best of Both Worlds, where he's kind of saying, I need everyone where I'm used to them, because ultimately, her skills are, she's an engineer and she's quite good at it, but you're taking her out of those to do HR, and yeah, it's nice that this showed everyone was okay with it, but come on, I mean, you've got a whole experienced crew there. Okay, you might want to keep some of the reports, but come on, Johansson, the one who's not Arium, she always takes over at the con when Saru goes, and it's what I'm actually finding a bit more of a shame is it could have been a way for us to see more of any of the extended cast. Linus, make Linus first officer, XO Linus, we're all up for that. So yeah, I mean, like I say, overall, the only thing I found was the episode was predictable. I kind of, once the debate got kicked off and you saw the cracks in the Vulcan-Romulan alliance, I thought, it's going to be, she'll say, no, I don't want it if it's going to break up this alliance, and then get it anyway. So I kind of saw where it was going, but perfectly serviceable episode. So I'll be back next time, hopefully a bit more promptly, to feedback on the next episode. But until then, bye for now.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye.
Rather more positive take on Unification Part 3 than we had, I think it's fair to say.
I'm not sure I would have wanted to watch a maths off, though.
And yes, interesting, definitely Nilsson, far more logical first officer. In fact, she was kind of operating like that in today's episode.
Yeah.
So quoting what the Admiral had said to Saru and stuff. That's what you'd expect the first officer to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, more on that when we talk about the episode we're covering this evening.
Yes. Just one other thing from Parry's feedback is that I also liked that Michael's mum isn't a mystery box.
Yes, that's true. her part in it, and the fact that the Romulans and Vulcans are together now, those are all stuff that did work from the episode, but much of the rest didn't, sadly.
Not for you.
We've heard from Andy, who was asking. You were asking about actor that plays President Tarina.
Yes. And Andy writes, Tara Roslin plays a really minor role in season 4 of The Expanse. In fact, she doesn't even have a name on screen. She's the person giving the intelligence briefing to Avasarala before they try to capture Marcus Inaros on the freighter, which ends up going badly. So basically, she's just a face you briefly see and has some lines but no names. But I did think I recognised her, though. And he says, read the role of an XO. The primary role we've seen in Trek of the XO is to speak for the crew. They seem to be in charge of HR and crew appraisals. They also have to be able to take command of the ship in the event the captain is incapacitated. Side note, but in the US Navy, the captain and the XO are meant to have different battle stations, so in the event of a hit on the bridge, it doesn't take out the entire leadership.
Sensible.
There is some precedent for junior officers being made XOs, Kirk in the JJ film, and something in Lower Decks, but I won't say more since I don't think you've seen that yet.
Nope.
Claude, who did the Is Starfleet a Military Great Derelict episode with me, made a post here about how it all relates to a real Navy. And I read that, and it is very good, and it basically sets out the morale damage that could potentially be done by promoting someone from
very junior
higher up, and how actually on that ship there seem to be a lot of people who potentially could take the next step up. So you're not just discarding a couple, it's lots, and it's sort of about how the damage that... The thing is, though, Star Trek has done shit things before, though, because think of the damage done to Harry Kim when Tom Paris gets demoted, and then instead of Harry Kim getting promoted to lieutenant, now suddenly there's an opening. He's not, and Tom Paris goes back to it for no bloody good reason. So Star Trek's, and with the JJ film, Star Trek's got previous on fucking it up, I think.
Yes, I think this is one of the biggest they've ever made, though, to be honest. I mean, this is pretty outrageous, but there we go. Tonight's episode is called The Sanctuary.
We have to do something.
I propose we go in under the technical designation of observers. If Osara feels the presence of the Federation, she may be inclined to pursue a more diplomatic approach.
We'll take a defensive posture and jump away at the slightest indication that Discovery is in danger.
Aye, sir.
So keep your eyes open, Captain. I'm not betting on diplomacy. You have no idea what Osara is capable of.
Giorgio is reluctantly speaking to Culber about her problems, and the way that he's talking about it makes it sound a bit like she's suffering from dementia, interestingly.
Yeah.
The fact that she's going to kind of lose her memories and not recognise people and stuff. So, ooh, okay. Later on, it proves to be rather more serious even than that.
Yeah.
Book finds Michael and tells that his planet Quajan is under attack from Isira and the Emerald Chain.
Oh, see, I keep thinking his
The
planet
band,
was
isn't it?
Qui-Gon Jinn.
She sensibly goes to Admiral Vance Pants, so yep.
I
well
like
done, Michael.
that she's done the right thing.
But Book's planet isn't the only one that's under such attack, so they don't have the ships to cope. Saru manages to talk the Admiral into letting Discovery go as an observer, though. Back on Hunhow, we finally see Osira, who feeds her nephew to a transworm for letting Book escape with Rin the Andorian. Yeah. We see a ship, the Viridian, which is just a mess, frankly. It's got no obvious outline. It reminded me a bit of the crap Borg ship from Descent, actually, Next Generation, but there we go.
It just looked very angular to me.
It's all over the place. Like, why can't they design properly? It's the same with Book ship as well. They've got no decent, recognisable profiles. They're just lumps. It's just horrible.
I like Book ship.
Yeah,
I think that's got a
rubbish.
profile.
It
It's
has
knife-shaped.
It's not really. It's just wank. Anyway.
You don't like it, I do, but I agree with you on the Viridian. Isn't Viridian? Wasn't it? Was it Viridian flu or something? Wasn't it?
There's a Viridian strip in Star Trek 6, which was that thing that enabled them to trace Kirk and Spock. But, Anyway, we have Tilly organising Saru's diary with him, which is surely the role of a yeoman rather than the first officer. She's acting like his yeoman throughout most of this episode, actually. Why the hell did he make her his yeoman? That would have been so much better. So much, because it's always a junior officer that does that.
True, but they haven't had a yeoman since the original series.
Yeah, but remember, Discovery's kind of operating not that far off from the... Well, in fact, it is the originals, just before the original series.
No, but in terms of Trek, the yeoman
So
role didn't exist in Next Gen didn't exist in Deep Space Nine.
No, but that's fine, because this is before, they come from before then, so they can have a yeoman.
So that's what she should be then?
Yes. And, she fits right into that role perfectly.
And it is a promotion from ensign.
Well, no, most of the yeomans were ensigns, to be honest. It's quite natural for a yeoman to be an ensign, but it's always a junior officer, and it's somebody who helps organising the captain's schedule and supporting them in their role in a way that doesn't involve sort of giving orders in the same way as a number one does. But I mean,
It might be passing orders on.
Yes, possibly less so, actually. It's basically supporting the captain, and that's exactly why he wanted to make a number one, but he shouldn't have made a number one, he should have made a yeoman.
Like Rand.
Yes. She could have got better hair as well. Anyway, we learn Linus is shedding. So he's been banned from the mess hall. People with bitter Linus in their burger, you imagine.
Oh.
Tilly's also helping Saru to choose a catchphrase, which it's a bit naff, isn't it?
More than a bit. It was really...
Really? That's the way this works, is it? It's not just something somebody says, but they actually have a decision what their catchphrase is going to be.
The impression I'm getting is, remember Saru was going through all the other captains in season 1. I think this is just a Saru thing. I think everybody else has a thing naturally.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to come up with one. But I want him to have that one from that stupid thing.
Just do it!
So that's what I want him to do.
Aha. I've actually do it. Wasn't that captain's name from Best of Both? No, Chain of Command, who takes over the Enterprise world?
Jellicoe.
Wasn't that Jellicoe's? I have a feeling maybe. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Be fine. You can have that.
It doesn't really fit Saru, does it? Anyway, Stamets and Adira found the origin of the burn, and there's a signal coming from there too, which is the freaky music that's been cropping up throughout the season. They do a technical wibbly thing and realise it's actually a distress signal, a Federation one at that.
Well, I think it's to do with Saru having excellent hearing.
Yes, and eyesight as well.
And he's able to sort of isolate certain things and then say, what's this lowest, what's this sound, and then they can remove the distortion as a result.
Adira asks Stamets for they and them pronouns from now on, so we did know that was coming. But it would seem that he's the only person they've asked that of other than Grey, so it's obviously a big move.
Yeah. Although later in the episode we have Culber using...
Yes, you can impress Stamets told Culber, I think. Yes.
Yeah, but then they don't seem to mind that's happened. They don't seem to be objecting.
There's a moment between Owo and Detmer over something about the new control system. I couldn't really understand what that was about.
Well, it was to do with fail-safes, that Detmer had put a whole load in, and Owo was going, no, but you're the fail-safe. You don't need these extra ones.
The Discovery jumps to Quajan, which is yet another brown world like Hunhao. They pick up the Viridian, heading their way, and Saru sends Michael and Book down as they can't get a reply to Hales. Dr. Pollard is back! Hooray! Always good to see you there. Giorgio is complaining about being dressed like a sperm.
I love that.
It's actually a special suit that enables them to scan her. And basically all these scenes are gold. They're brilliant.
Yeah, I love them, yeah.
Speaking of lovely scenes, Stamets goes to see Adira. Apparently Grey isn't talking to them anymore. And he offers to play with her, musically that is. It's all very sweet.
Yeah.
Rin kind of barges in on Saru and Tilly, wanting to join Book, but some sort of transporter blocker comes down, so they're cut off. Very convenient for plot's sake. On Quajan, which looks like Canada in the autumn, strangely. Book and Michael are surrounded by sea locusts, which are tiny blue things. They look more like shrimp, to be honest, than locusts, but there we go.
Yeah, or squid or something. Locust isn't the word I would use.
Then they're surrounded by armed dudes, led by Book's brother, Kaheem. Giorgio's face does a weird glitch thing.
Oh, it's freaky, that is.
Yeah, well, maybe she is a hologram. They would have discovered that by now, let's face it. But anyway, we see the flashback to her crying out over somebody's body, and then she comes to and just walks out, basically. She's had enough. Asira turns up and demands Discovery turns over Rin. In what looks very much like Sarek's house from last season, there's some argy-bargy between Book and Kaheem.
Yeah.
Asira hails the latter and demands he turn over his brother and Michael under threat of famine from the locusts, and then she starts targeting the planet's defences for good measure. Saru is about to have to disobey Vance Pants's orders and fire in the Viridian when Tilly hatches a cunning plan, which is basically send Detmer out in Book's knife ship, with Rin guiding where to fire.
Yeah.
He manages to disable Asira's ship, forcing her to jump away, having threatened the Federation with reprisals. There's a great moment when Grudge leaps on Rin.
Yeah.
What's this?
What's this? Why does it make that noise? But also, although I don't like the flying on manual and then suddenly 2 joysticks fucking appear.
Well, it's better than a Kempston joystick.
Yeah.
It looks slightly more realistic having 2 to control, and it's a much smaller ship as well.
Yeah.
You just couldn't understand how the hell they controlled the E with a blooming joystick.
Yeah.
That made no sense at all.
But so I wasn't so much a fan of the joystick things because it made me think of bloody nunchucks and the Wii U.
Ride it by Wii U. Brilliant.
But what I did enjoy was Detmer has faced her fears and she's clearly enjoying flying the ship, and she's gone on to manual. She's trusting herself and she's having the time of her life, and you can see the thrill, and it's brilliant. I did then worry though that because we've seen quite a lot of Detmer, she was going to die.
Yes. But no, thankfully.
Not yet.
There's a brother off, which finishes with Book challenging his brother to send him to Osira. It felt like it ought to have finished with Kareem firing his rifle into the air.
Yes.
Is it Lethal Weapon that happens in?
It's Point Break, and then also Hot Fuzz.
Yes. Michael finds a tech solution to enable Book and his brother to work together, Dr. Dolittle style, and get the locusts to bog off. Tilly is really sweet to Rin, and he tells her the chain is running out of dilithium. That's why they're getting desperate, basically. And there's a sweet moment where Kajim's son laughs at Linus.
And then Michael turns around and says, "Come on, I've got something awesome to show you." And he says, "It's the lizard man." And she says, "Yes, and you can peel a bit of his face off if you want." What the fuck?
Yeah, but that's just sort of thing a little boy's going to want to do, isn't it?
Does Linus not mind people peeling bits of his face off?
But it's when he goes, lizard, when they go past, and he sort of looks like, what the hell? And Michael pats you, never mind. There's a lovely scene with Adira, Hugh and Stamets, which you referenced earlier. Book asked to join Starfleet, so I guess he'll be getting a uniform permanently at some point. What sort of uniform? A little bit? No, let's not get started on that. But yes, ultimately, as you can tell, a much better episode.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Michael has stuff to do, and very important stuff, because she's, after all, the star of the show. But it's not all about her.
No.
There's other stuff going on as well. It's great to get Detmer to have a moment to shine in this.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
The Adira Stamets stuff is just so
Really
sweet and
sweet.
so lovely.
And
Colbert Giorgio stuff is brilliant.
Yeah.
So there's loads of stuff going on, and it just feels more like it's the sort of show it should be, which is like a group effort rather than all being about one person.
And the other thing as well that I really liked in the scenes with Adira, where they were talking about when they wake up, they don't know who they're going to be, who's going to be at the front, and also the fact that Grey's not around anymore. It's very much similar to what Esri talks about in Deep Space Nine, except it's done in a really nice, calm way, rather than Esri's frantic, stressy, shouty, annoying, wanted to slap her.
Yeah.
You don't want to slap Adira. You want to
You
just
don't, you're
gently
right.
give them a hug or something.
Yeah, they're obviously struggling and coping with things, but yes, it's done in a way that you sympathise with them a lot more.
Yeah, than you ever did with Esri. Yeah.
I like Esri, but yeah, you're right. She could be a bit squawky.
Yes. Whereas
feeble.
Adira isn't.
No.
And I like the way as well that Stamets seems to have adopted Adira.
Yeah, it's
Which
so
is really sweet. Yeah, it's really nice. And I like as well that you can see that Culber is liking this side of Stamets.
Yeah.
And he's encouraging it. And I like the sweet kiss that Culber and Stamets had. It was like, oh, sweet. Sweet.
Yes, our child too practically applauded at that point.
Yeah, it was really good. And it'd be interesting to see whether the stuff that's going on with Grey not being around anymore, is that to do with sort of the host symbiont relationship settling down, or was that a separate, different issue that's going to be dealt with in a slightly different way because of Grey playing the music?
Don't know.
So it'd be interesting to see where they go with that one. But the other thing as well is that you don't ever get the impression that Adira is mad. Like, Adira might be struggling to cope with everything and all the different voices inside them and everything, but there's never any impression that they're completely losing the plot.
No.
So that's really good. I liked that.
Shall we find out what other people thought?
Yes. And we've heard from Doreen, who writes, "I think this was better than the last one."
Oh, yes.
So did we. It did show that Tilly needs to grow in the first officer role, and it would probably have been better for her to learn these skills as she rose through the officer ranks. Other members of the bridge crew were doing the questioning of orders that Riker would have done. That's what you said. I think by the end there was some suggestion that Saru is going to captain by consent, given that it looks like his equivalent of engage will be carry on. I guess like a shepherd leading their sheep. I'm glad that Adira has cleared up the pronoun confusion. I think the teamwork shown by Book and his brother was a really good illustration of the honourable type of masculinity. Detmer seems to have got her mojo back, which I am glad about, but I'm not sure how realistic it was. I believe if I was suffering from trauma that I would require a far softer approach rather than just being thrown into a stressful situation which is supposed to remind me why I love to be alive.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, she may have been receiving some counselling for since the last problems she had, because there was a bit of time when they were refitting the ship, obviously, that we skipped. So, But oh yes, we heard from Bagsy Dave. He says he's not sure my star dates work out. It never does. But reference to the distress call they've discovered, could it be a Back to the Future 3 2 DeLorean moment? And the ship in Short Trek Calypso is there. That's the sort of thing that ties my head in knots. Good luck them explaining it to us if that's the case. Thanks, Dave. And we've heard from Andy,
who says, not really feedback per se, just wanting to voice my crazy tinfoil hat theory that Grudge is in fact some sort of avatar of Book's ship, maybe like Zora in Calypso, maybe like Romy in Andromeda. And anyway, at some point I'm waiting for that penny to drop, and while yes, Grudge has left the ship, we've seen avatars leaving and even outlasting their ships in the past. Also, I'm convinced that the ship in a nebula will either be from the Mirror Universe or maybe the prime USS Baran, Lorca's ship. Anyway, I think Lorca has something to do with it. Maybe becoming non-corporeal after falling into the mycelial core and now back to extract mischief and revenge. Oh, and Tilly seems to be acting more like a yeoman, like Janice Rand, which is exactly what you said, which would have made a ton more sense.
Yes, it would.
Yes, it would have done. Thank you, Andy.
We've heard from Martin.
Hi there, it's Martin here, just recording some feedback for Discovery. My apologies if I sound a little down on this one, but I had just finished a recording I was really happy with, but I had to delete it for reasons. So I'm going through this again for like the third or fourth time. So my apologies. Anyway, this is another episode which felt like it was running on the spot a bit, in which the main plot wasn't that great, to be quite honest, but we had a lot of little character moments, and that advanced a lot of, I think, individual arcs. So I think it was good in terms of our crew. But in terms of the main mission on the planet of Qui-Gon Jinn, it really wasn't that much, really. But it was nice. Again, it was kind of restored a lot of people's faith in Starfleet, which I think is, again, it's edging more towards the kind of redemption of Starfleet. In the Federation arc. I mean, there wasn't really much. I didn't think Book's brother was that good an actor, if I'm honest. But the guns were nice. Again, top weapon works from the prop guys on this. Although Michael and Book were wearing bathrobes for some reason. Bathrobes, dressing gowns, something like that. Why is Book's ship still on board the Discovery as well? I mean, now it needs to undergo repairs, but there's absolutely no reason, I think, why it should be. It should have been before. But the biggest revelation, possibly of the week, is that we actually went to Admiral Vance Pants with what we wanted to do. We didn't go rogue at all. Certainly a new area for Discovery. We are working with the Admiral now. Yes. Apart from that, we had Detmer kind of undergoing. I think going through her PTSD again, and she seems to have got her confidence back. We see there was the safeguards at the beginning, and now with the whole flight of Book's ship, she seems to have regained her confidence back, which is nice to see. Yet one of my favourite moments of the episode is Saru's search for Catchphrase. Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. Oh, I adored this. I really enjoyed this bit of the episode. We went on the other side. It looks like Giorgio seems to have dementia. I think, which is it's going to be interesting to see how they continue. So I don't know if she's losing her memory. Maybe she really did cause the burn for some reason. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Oh yes, that's what I wanted to say as well. Yeah, we did find out a lot more about the burn, where it originated, and it was a Starfleet call, apparently Starfleet distress call. But that, when I heard that, I was like, yes, that's the story I want to see. Yeah, let's go there. Let's do that. But no, we went to the boring planet of boring instead. So hopefully that will be coming up next week. Although this seemed to be primed for introducing the big bad, Syra, who I thought was really good, played by Janet Kidder, apparently niece of Lois Lane herself, Margot Kidder. And she seems to have quite a career in genre TV, also including appearances in Casualty as well. It's a bit late to start bringing your big bad, but we'll see how it goes along. I think again the whole plot line with the Emerald Chain, isn't it? We also did have Adira discussing pronouns with Stamets, and here we come to the reason why I binned my last feedback, because I talked about the pronouns and then I proceeded to use the wrong ones. I was just going on to say that I feel that I know some people have been a bit up in arms about this because Star Trek used the wrong pronouns when Adira was introduced, but just because the actor is non-binary does not mean to say that they are playing a non-binary character, whereas this feels earned. This feels like the character revealed it in their own time and to Stamets, because the relationship has been growing closer and closer, which was nice to see. So he was taken into their confidence, and it feels very much like Adira becoming part of the crew more and trusting them more. So anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say. I think that's everything I remember saying first time around. As I say, it's kind of running on the spot a bit, but it still kind of advanced things, I think, for our characters. So it's interesting in that respect. But yes, looking forward to next week, and hopefully we'll find out about that Starfleet Distress Call. Okay,
Cut off in his prime.
He also called it the planet of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yep.
Yeah. They are top weapons.
Oh yeah, they're very distinctive designs, aren't they? I like those. And they have distinctive sound design as well.
Yeah, I like them. They're cool. And I did think that they were in dressing gowns.
Yeah, similar to what Saru and Tilly were wearing right at the beginning.
Yeah, I think they must be the away coats, but they do look like dressing gowns or smoking jackets or something. More than coats, anyway. Yeah. He liked Saru's search for a catchphrase, whereas I found it cringy. And in terms of Adira revealing their pronouns, I liked the way that they revealed them to Stamets because of their growing relationship, rather than it made sense.
And Giorgio's got something that has dementia-like symptoms, but also makes her face go all wibbly-wobbly at some point, so it's obviously rather more than just dementia.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether maybe because of Mirror Universe it's a phasing or something like that type thing going on.
And the reason why Book has his ship, I think, still on the Discovery is because he was cloaking their dilithium. Yeah. So
now, did you pick up Purry's tweets? Because he said, in response to what we'd been saying about possible cause of that distress signal, provided it isn't the destruction of the Red Angel suit sending a time wave that causes the burn, I'll be happy. And my heart just sank at the idea that maybe Michael did cause the burn by sending by sending the suit back. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. What did the Llama God make of this?
Llama God's log, Scott Dick Fiket, Yaya, Care, Boss, Dejar. Viridian. This is a first for this season. I know that a lot of people had a lot of issues with last week's episode, and understandably so, but for me, I didn't mind that one so much. This week, this seems like the low point of the season thus far for me, because it really felt like a half-finished episode, or just not complete in and of itself. Discovery's done a good job this season thus far. Whilst it's had the thread running through the whole season, you've been able to enjoy each individual episode on its own merits as well, and this episode is the first time this season that it hasn't quite felt like that this is just a bridge to something else. I mean, we are, at this point, halfway through the season, and so we are clearly setting up things here for the season finale, but it's not doing that particularly subtly. This is really just laying the groundwork for those things, and as such it just doesn't feel complete in and of itself. I mean, we've got Giorgio's story, we've got the signal, we've got pretty much everything really. It just doesn't feel like anything is resolved in this episode. Things happen, there's the attack on the planet which gets seen off, but that doesn't actually feel satisfying in and of itself. It's just a thing that happens, and it would be fine if it actually got them somewhere in service of the larger story, but the larger story isn't actually completed in this episode, so slightly unsatisfying. This episode is probably the best way I way of putting it. About that story, though, I mean, it's interesting enough, isn't it? I like seeing Book's home planet. I like seeing a bit of his backstory, a bit of what's going on there. I like the whole idea of the sea locusts. I mean, that was a particularly alien Star Trek-y thing. But given this was the central thrust of the episode, it also felt a bit throwaway, really. So, yeah, I think that's more down to the story than anything else. I did like that we got to spend more time with Michael and Book. Again, this is my thing. I buy them as a couple. They seem to have really good chemistry together. I see them being a thing. And I like the fact that Book is now starting to buy into the Federation. And I think that's probably an important thing. Probably the most important thing this episode does, maybe, until I decide along the course of this feedback that something else is more important. But if he can be won over, if he can be converted to the ideals of the Federation in the way that Michael has been reconverted, then maybe that's an important thing, because it's showing that, those ideals are worth something, they're worth fighting for. Admittedly, he was operating along mostly those principles anyway, but it's nice to see him taking part in that. So, yeah, I think this is a good development as far as things go. And if nothing else, this story did at least give us probably the best thing of the episode. I'm hoping that you enjoyed this, that you enjoyed the space battle. Yes, this is a decent epic space battle, wasn't it? I mean, not epic, but it was really cool to see Book's ship fighting against the Viridian. Yeah, the Viridian, what, really named after the system in which they killed Enterprise D? Yeah, someone doesn't like me, do they? I kind of feel personally attacked on this front. But yeah, that was a lovely little scene, and I love the fact that Detmer actually gets to work over her issues. And most importantly, the fact that when she takes manual control, she doesn't get a 1980s gaming joystick appear on the floor. I'm glad to see that Programmable Matter is capable of better than that, so thank you very much for that. As well as that, there was the subplot with Giorgio, which, as we say, we didn't really conclude. We possibly learned that maybe she's dying, although she could be no dramatic. Kind of do really want to find out what is going on there. But on the plus side, there were some nice little character moments. Giorgio is obviously always worth the price of entry alone. But to see her playing off against Kolber, who we learn isn't just the softie that he's been seen to be the previous episode. He's still got that hard jet that we've seen in previous seasons, and he's able to deploy it to good effect. But he's deploying it for Giorgio's own good as well. He's not just doing it just to be mean or nasty. He's doing it because that's exactly what she needs to hear. So yeah, seeing that side of him again is absolutely great. And whilst we're talking about Kolber, seeing that he and Stamets have basically become surrogate parents to Adira, that's also lovely to see. Adira's own journey, like to see, and how they have asserted themselves, that's also really lovely to see. But yeah, the whole scene between Stamets and Adira is just beautiful in this episode. Loved it. As of course they try and find out the source of that mysterious signal, which turns out to be music, which is actually a distress signal. So that's an interesting thing, isn't it? And the big question, of course, is where did that signal come from? And the bigger question is, what sort of distress signal can you encode into a Bob Dylan song? That's a question for another podcast, I think. And finally, the best thing about this episode is the question that defines all Starfleet captains, that highlights the core of who they are, and that is, how do they arrive at their cool catchphrase? I absolutely love this, and I hope this is a journey that Saru will be taking into future episodes. And just on that front, just seeing him interact with Tilly, I know that she is acting first officer. I know there's the whole fact that this doesn't make any sense at all from an HR point of view, but in terms of the interpersonal dynamics, Tilly's actually doing a pretty good job as a first officer. I'm not just saying that because she's the redhead that I obviously am particularly fond of, but no, she's doing a really good job with this as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them solidify Saru's catchphrase by the end of the season, if nothing else. Personally, I'm hoping for make it Saru or let's boogie, because, disco. So yeah, there were some great little character moments, interpersonal interplay between the characters in this episode, and that kind of is what saves it, given the main story itself really didn't feel like it was going anywhere. But yeah, obviously there's going to be repercussions to this episode, aren't there, because the Federation has struck at the Orions. Yeah, having just said that Tilly was particularly good at this episode, her plan, let's shoot at the Orion's ship by not using Federation ships, like, yeah, they could see where Book's ship came from. It's not, they're not going to get away with that one. I mean, yeah, you're following the letter of the law, but that's not going to work, is it? And it didn't. But yeah, clearly things have been put in place for the end of the season now. We're going to find out what the burn is. We're going to be going toe-to-toe with the Emerald Chain, and yeah, there's going to be a big fight. Then there'll be a reset for next season or something. So yeah, I'm hoping that they don't lose their way towards the end of the season like they have in, maybe not so much in the first season, but definitely in season 2. As ever, I'll be looking forward to finding out what everyone else made of this. I hope that everyone is continuing to stay safe in these confusing and uncertain and certainly unfinished times. And until next time,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but perhaps Tilly's wasn't the most cunning plan ever, because it was a bit of a giveaway, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Where it came from. It might not look like a Federation ship, but I'm sure that doesn't account for an awful lot.
No, and she knew where it came from anyway, didn't she? She
Yeah.
recognised the ship. And
Yes.
So, I don't think
It'd be interesting if there's any fallout with Vance Pants when they go back or not. But
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so Lama liked Book's home planet of Canada.
Yes. Yeah, there's no escaping it. It's like Doctor Who always being filmed in the home counties. It's like, yeah, it is what it is. But it was a cool space battle. I enjoyed that.
Yes, yeah. And I enjoyed Detmer's joy as she was flying around.
Let's boogie. That's kind of a possible idea, maybe. No, he's not going to pull that one off, is he? I can't imagine, really.
No.
Please, I can imagine him saying that. That's amazing. What about to 10? Please.
Oh, now.
Yeah, yes. Which language was that? South African, wasn't it? Yes. Where now means in a while, now means actually now.
Yeah, or something like that. It all got a bit confusing, and apparently there can be now or something. They are lining ducks up, but I didn't have a problem with that. I didn't find it unsatisfying. There
was plenty going on to engage you. There was a plot that got completed in terms of the planet being rescued. So, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Much better than last week.
I'm still grossed out at the idea of somebody peeling off bits of flakes of lime.
Yes, more of that, please.
Oh, no.
What will they do with him next? I mean, he's there just for comic relief, but he's very good at it, so it doesn't matter. Now, did I make a note of the next... Oh, yes, the next episode is called Terra Firma Part 1. There we are.
So that's just Earth.
Back to Earth, doesn't it? Yes. Thank you to everybody who fed back. We'll catch you next week. Cheery bye.
Bye.
With thanks to Andy Palastides for the Borgcast Discovery artwork. All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
We have a Facebook page, and we have a YouTube channel as well.
You can find the Borgcast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at borgcast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or borgcastammo. #Borgcast.
Shut it down!